Here I go, here I go, here I go. Yeah, here I go, here I go.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to yet another episode of The Take. I'm your host, Jackson Burleson, of course. And in today's episode, we got a little bit of an interesting one here. We got an Eagles fan, Connor Dixon, joining. I appreciate you hopping on, man. This is going to be a good one.
Thank you for having me.
No problem, bro. You guys are probably shocked that I got an Eagles fan on. They're like, why is an Eagles fan on? Like, get this guy out of here. But this is not one of the bad Eagles fans, just to let you know. He's not one of those Philly guys. So
not all the time.
Unless you're playing the Cowboys, which we play this weekend. So we'll get into that matchup in a little bit. Before we get into it, like, subscribe, comment, hit the notification bell. Did you guys know if you hit the notification bell, you can actually see when I post. So that does help out a lot. But I do want to get into the Kansas City Chiefs. So let's start this out real quick. Patrick Mahomes just won another game in overtime against the Bucs. And I want you to hear what he had to say about playing in the tough weather in Kansas City. You know, so let's play this real quick. We'll come back, but let's get a little Mahomey here.
Yeah, I mean, well, first off, I pride myself on being able to throw in any condition. I think that's something that's an advantage at Arrowhead. And so if it's raining, if it's snowing, if it's cold, if it's hot, whatever it is, I want to be the best thrower of the football on the football field. And I think that's why we want home field advantage. That's why we want the playoffs to come through Arrowhead. It's because it's a special place, and you have to be able to play in every environment.
Yeah, so I think he's pretty used to it by now. But who can beat this Chiefs team?
Few to nobody, especially because any game they even had the chance to lose, I'm not going to be that guy that says the refs, but they get help even when they are losing. So you think
the refs are on their side? Do you think it's rigged for them?
I don't think it's rigged, but I think they definitely get off with a lot. You look early in the season, they had the Ravens game. They won because of a toe out of bounds. That's luck. That's not refs.
That was just the right call there. That was just the right call.
The Bengals, there was that PI. The Falcons, there was that egregious PI.
The Bengals one I'll give you, and the Falcons one I'll give you. I'll give you both of those.
Which, again, the Falcons offense had the ball again after that and didn't score. So that's also on them, but it's a little bit of both.
And I think the main problem is, like, you cannot... Like, I think Tampa Bay should have went for two because you cannot let Patrick Mahomes get the ball back. And then they called a timeout. They get down to the 1 yard line. I would have just ran a play immediately. Like, no huddle, run the football. I mean, there's no point in sitting there going, all right, let's think about what we're going to do with 30 seconds left. Like, no. Like, beat the Chiefs because Baker Mayfield was playing so good in that game. And then that just goes down the toilet.
That and if you play the Chiefs, you lose on your terms. There's a high chance you lose the game already. You have to play aggressive when you're against them. And I would much rather lose going for two on my terms. I messed up rather than I didn't even get a chance on offense in overtime.
That's what I'm saying. Right. And then you saw Baker's reaction when he didn't get the coin toss.
Yeah.
He knew it was over. He knew it.
If it was up to him, I bet they would have gone for two.
Oh, 100%. I mean, but you could tell, like, Todd Bowles, you know, these defensive-minded head coaches, they don't go for it. In certain situations, they should. Like, they're super conservative for no reason. And that's around the league when it comes to defensive-minded head coaches. I'm not sure why that is.
I don't know. And then you look at the other side, like the Eagles, for example. Nick Sirianni's offense, if he has a mind, he's offensive-minded. And he's so aggressive with it that he doesn't know when to. And then the defensive-minded guys never do. No one has, like, that.
It's a happy medium. Like, you got to find it somewhere. And Andy Reid, I feel like, is one of those coaches that has it.
Yeah.
And
that's a big reason the Chiefs are who they are.
Yeah, exactly.
If their offense is struggling, like we saw their first two Super Bowls were shootouts. They won because of their offense. And then last year was their defense was the strongest part.
Right. And it's kind of the same thing this year, too.
Yeah, exactly.
But their offense against the Bucs probably looked the best it's looked all season. I mean, D-Hop showed up. He had 2 touchdowns. I mean, he was killing it.
If he keeps playing like that, oh my gosh. If we let Patrick Mahomes get a still elite DeAndre Hopkins, I'll be sick to my stomach.
And don't forget Isaiah Pacheco. He started practicing 3 days ago.
And they still have Kareem Hunt.
So he's come, and Kareem Hunt has come in and really been an impact. He has more rushing yards than Kenneth Walker. and he's only played 5 games. Think about that. That's crazy.
That's the other scary part. They're undefeated, and they can only get better.
And they're not, and it's not like they're winning these games convincingly. Like almost every single game has been one possession. Like almost every single one.
Yeah.
It kind of blows my mind a little. 6 games this year, they've won by 1 possession.
And
6.
those are the games you want. Because come playoff time, if you're blowing teams out and then you face controversy for the first time, you don't know how to handle it. The Chiefs have been handling it all season.
Right.
And Mahomes has been doing it his whole career, honestly. And last game was his first ever career game, throwing a touchdown in the fourth quarter. If you saw that, the announcers said it. He's never thrown a touchdown pass in the fourth quarter of a tied game. And then the next play, he threw it to D-Hop.
Oh, yeah, and he's undefeated in overtime in his career.
Yeah,
it's not fair.
No, it's not. He's like, when you think of clutch, you look at his stats, it's like,
When you look at him, you think Michael Jordan.
yeah.
Seriously. Okay, so we're getting into this, okay? So the Chiefs are undefeated. They have a 2% chance to remain undefeated. So, actually, I got a stat. It's according to the Athletics' Austin Mock. I pulled it up. He said there's a 2% chance of them being undefeated with their current schedule. Yeah. Do they, 1, complete the three-peat and go undefeated in the same season? If so, what does that do for Patrick Mahomes?
Because he already has, you could argue that he's the GOAT already based off accolades, and he's more talented than Tom Brady in terms of like athleticism and all that. Because Brady couldn't do it. He went undefeated, lost to the Giants. So if Mahomes could do that because no team has ever won 3 in a row, right?
No.
That could literally
I think it could make him the GOAT
status.
I think it literally could make him. He'll do 2 things in one season that are absolutely remarkable. Now, we've seen an undefeated season before, but we haven't seen a three-peat.
And he's already had a season where he won MVP and the Super Bowl and Super Bowl MVP. So he has that season under his belt. And then you look at another season where he goes undefeated the whole way, wins his 3rd Super Bowl in a row. He could retire and be literally the GOAT. It'd be arguable, but
I think it's a good argument.
Oh,
I mean, if you got Mahomes 4 rings and one of them is a three-peat ring, and then you've got an undefeated season just sitting underneath that, I mean, come on, dude.
Yeah,
like, what are we doing?
It'd be hard to argue against it.
I think it would, and especially the amount of time he's done it. Like,
well, yeah, and the amount of time he has left in his career after that. Like, he's not close to over.
No. I think it definitely opens the door for Tom Brady to have a discussion with
If he does that, Tom Brady should come out of retirement just to be like, he's the only one to beat Mahomes in a Super Bowl, in the playoffs, I think.
He's 2-0 against Mahomes. He beat him in the AFC title game in 2019, and then he beat him in the Super Bowl.
Yeah. Yeah. If Mahomes goes undefeated and wins the Super Bowl, Brady, come back. We need it.
Man. And what's crazy is 8-0 teams, they make the Super Bowl 28% of the time. Or 55% of the time. 28% of the time they win it. So the numbers are on their side.
Yeah. That and their schedule isn't that hard.
It's pretty easy for the most part.
Yeah. Bills, Texans, Steelers is tough just because of their defense, but
I like the Steelers. They've surprised me this year. Texans, of course. Chargers on Sunday Night Football. I think that'll be a tough one. I think that's why the 2%'s in there, because they've got games where they could lose.
And it's a lot of division games. They play the Broncos twice, and then the Chargers and Raiders. So they still have 4 more divisional games left.
And the Raiders made it close with them, too. And the Raiders are not a good football team at all. So it's like...
No. And even we've seen in the past, the Broncos, Drew Lock beat the Chiefs a couple of years ago. Like, I wouldn't put it past the Broncos just because it's a division game.
Yeah, just because they got blown out by the Ravens.
And the Ravens aren't in their division.
Right.
But, yeah.
And then it's a conversation, for sure.
It would also come down to... Because assuming they're undefeated coming into the last week of the season, there's no way they would bench starters, right?
No, not for that. Not for that record. If you're chasing history, there's no way you bench Patrick Mahomes, or maybe you bench Travis Kelce, but
maybe you bench him at halftime.
See if you
make
can get
sure
a
you get a big enough
lead
lead and then
3-possession lead.
Yeah.
And that'll be interesting. But we'll move on to another topic. Dak Prescott. He's out for several weeks. And here is my team owner. Okay, I'm not even going to introduce him. That's how bad he is.
Well, it's iffy, but it's extended period of time here. So I wouldn't dare make a prediction when it could be. It's likely we'll IR him, and so we'll see kind of how his rehab goes.
All right, so that's our owner, Jerry Jones, on Dak Prescott's status. He is out for several weeks. He's not supposed to return until December 9th when we play the Bengals. And we're going into our toughest stretch of the season, okay? Like, this is not time for this. And then, all of a sudden, Dak, let's put him on IR. Oh, wait, let's go get Jonathan Mingo for a 4th round. Let's give up a 4th round pick. Okay, so let's draw this into perspective, Cowboys fans. So we give up a 4th round pick for this guy. What did we get for Amari Cooper a couple years ago? A 5th rounder. That's it. So you're telling me right now that Jonathan Mingo is better than Amari Cooper? Stop it. Jerry Jones is an idiot. This man continues to make poor decision after poor decision. And you had your chance to go all in. You had your chance all off season. You had your opportunity. Why are you going all in all of a sudden right now?
And then my favorite part is they could have had Derrick Henry. Like, I want to put it past them. And he said Derrick Henry would not have the same season in Dallas. Why would you say that about your own team? If we sign this elite player, he wouldn't be that good.
And by the way, we could use him. We're 31st in the league in rushing offense. We could use him.
That's what he's saying, like, our rushing attack isn't that great. Maybe because you don't have Derrick Henry. You have Rico Dowdle and Ezekiel Elliott, who was just a healthy scratch.
And then we waited until week 8 to play Dalvin Cook. I mean, he was somehow on our roster.
I forgot about it until he played.
Yeah.
That's how bad it was.
I was like, where is he at? I was waiting for him all season. I'm like, okay, so we signed him for no reason, apparently. We hadn't even played him the whole season. What's the point? We're 3-5. I think we should just tank. But
at this point, yeah, especially if Dak's hurt at this point, there's no pain.
Like, what's the point? And Micah Parsons might as well not even come back. Yeah. And there's no point. I mean, I don't even know if he should be available for the game against the Eagles, but they still don't know yet.
Yeah. I mean, that way him and Darius Slay can go record their podcast after.
And dude, that's the thing that gets me the most. Micah Parsons, I'm talking directly to you right now. Because for you to go on your podcast with Trayvon Diggs last week and say what you said about Dak Prescott not being in the top 5 quarterback conversation, first of all, that's bad for your team. Second of all, just stay focused on football. Like, I get you want to, spread your brand around and talk football, but like, you are a leader on this team, or you're supposed to be a leader on this team. You're not supposed to be going and talking about teammates behind your back. Now, Dak can handle it because he's a good guy. But still, why would you do that?
Because I'm not against players having their podcast, doing their own thing until it gets to that point. Like, because even Darius Slay going on a division rival players podcast laughed at CJ Gardner-Johnson giving up touchdowns after him and Micah Parsons went back and forth on Twitter. And it's just ridiculous. Darius Slay has been getting on my nerves this season. Like, after the Drake London play against the Falcons, he walks a good route, walks away laughing. I wasn't laughing. Nobody on that sideline was laughing.
And what blows my mind the most is Dak Prescott is on the sideline, injured, saying, "We suck." You know why we suck? Because of you! And we paid you $60 million. We gave you the most money in NFL history, and you have the audacity to say we suck. Okay, you're right. Are you talking about yourself here? Is that what you're saying? You might as well say you suck, not we, because there's a difference, okay? You are the quarterback. You're the Dallas Cowboys quarterback. You control everything. That's how it works.
That and all season, like, there's clips of him after saying, "Don't jump off now." Like, all this stuff. And then it got to the point they just kept losing. He's like, "Yeah, we suck."
After that game, I jumped off after that game, by the way. I jumped off. And oh yeah, and you guys play us at home, so that's an automatic win. We can't win at home. We haven't won our last 4 home games. We haven't won a home game since December 30th, 2023. That is the last time we've won a home game. Not kidding.
That's insane.
Against the Lions, gosh. It was that lucky game where Skipper was ineligible.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I forgot about that. And then the Saints dropped 50 on you guys in Dallas.
Yeah, I don't even want to talk about that. That was bad. That was bad. Oh, we right now we have a 10% chance to make the playoffs, and we have the 5th toughest remaining schedule in the NFL according to Tankathon.com. So we are officially screwed. But is Cooper Rush? Last time we saw him as a starter, he was 5-1. Yeah. So is it going to be better?
I want to put it past him. I mean, Dak has 11 touchdowns to 8 interceptions.
Yeah, which is like not great.
No, because he's always had like the interception problem. I wouldn't say always, but he's had the interception problem. But people could argue like, oh, they're not all his fault. And then, oh, he has the touchdowns at least. Like as an Eagles fan, I can admit I was always like down on Dak. Like he's not an elite quarterback, but he shouldn't be playing how he has been.
Well, I think his stats are also very deceiving because, like, when you look at his numbers, they're not that bad. No. But then you look at him on the field. Like, dude, we are the second best passing offense in the league. How?
Because you only pass.
Right.
That's what that you do have to cut him some slack with that. Because, like, even I keep going back to the Eagles for references, but, like, early in the season, we wouldn't give Saquon the ball, especially early in the game. We didn't score first quarter. We didn't score at all in the first quarter until last week. Like, people don't understand how much establishing the run or having even a decent run game, how much that can really impact the pass game.
Yeah, I mean, because also, like, when early in games, you're trying to establish a run, and then when you can't, you start playing like you're behind and you start throwing the football. And that's what's happened with Dallas, like, so many times this year. Like, San Francisco, we got behind. Ravens, we got behind. So we're throwing the football every single play. And that's just not our offense. And then CeeDee Lamb, to me, I mean, where has he been? I mean, he's been an absolute ghost town. We gave him all this money. And he's having a horrible attitude. Like, I really don't like the way this Cowboys defense is being coached either. Mike McCarthy's running jet sweeps on 4th and 1. I mean, what is that? And then he's lining up CeeDee Lamb in the backfield. I mean, come on. Like, this is not 2012, Mike. Like, get over this. You need to be gone.
Yeah.
He needs to be gone. And Jerry Jones, he needs to be gone too. Like, if you could fire an owner, I totally would. Like, imagine if fans could have the choice of voting, hey, should we keep an owner here or not? We should have that power. We really should, because Jerry Jones doesn't even know what he's doing half the time. He's like, well, let's go all in, and in the week 10, you had how many months? What? February, March, April, May, June, July. You had all these months before the season to make your moves.
Well, that, and then the amount of receivers that got traded before the deadline.
Dude.
And he waited until the deadline to get Jonathan.
And what's crazy is the 4th round pick is what Deontay Johnson and Hopkins were. That was around their value. And you're telling me Mingo is on their level? Absolutely not. He's literally the worst receiver in yards per target.
What probably happened is the Cowboys were like, we'll give you a 4th for him. And the Panthers were like, really? A 4th?
Like, bro, and then we gave up a 3rd rounder for Trey Lance, which is he going to make an appearance? I don't. He must be that bad to be behind.
Well, was he injured last week? I think he was out, and then
the thing with like 3rd string quarterbacks is like they're inactive until the 1st string gets hurt. So then he's available to play. He dresses, but like, is Trey Lance really that bad of a player that he can't win the starting job over Cooper Rush? I mean, is it that bad?
At the least, they could throw him out there for some like Taysom Hill type plays, like, because Cooper Rush isn't going to rush. If you have no rushing game, the least you could do is throw Trey Lance out there, QB
We might as well do a read option or something like that. I mean, I think we should see what we have, but at this, because screw it. I mean, we got to see if we're going to keep him in the future or not, or if we can draft a quarterback in this coming draft. We got to make a decision now because we're not making the playoffs. We're not going to a Super Bowl.
No,
we're not doing none of that. And Jerry still thinks that. He still thinks that, dude. It blows my mind every time. I can't even get. I'm so tired of talking about this team.
You talk about how bad they are at home, bro. These ticket prices, they're like in the 30s.
$30 for a Cowboys ticket at home?
Yeah.
Dang.
36 this week, 36 next week. On the road in Washington, 233. Back at home against the Giants, 34. Whoa. At home against the Bengals, 34. Even in Carolina, it's 91. You could go to 3 Cowboys divisional home games for almost the same price that you could see them on the road in Carolina.
Oh my God. I didn't even know that.
No, I didn't even. Wow. I have their schedule pulled up and I was looking.
Wow. Well, it's because Jerry Jones is too focused on building a racetrack and the Jake Paul fight that's coming up. He's too focused on things outside of football, which.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's get to something a little bit more fun here, okay? Because I'm not having fun talking about my stupid team, dude. I can't stand it. But this is one of the best plays I've ever seen. And as an Eagles fan, you're going to love this. I've never seen a guy do this. So we'll play it, and then we'll talk about this play, and I'll get your thoughts after I play this. So let's see it.
3rd and 6 for Philadelphia. Hurts has time. Now locates Barkley out of the backfield. Barkley slips 2 tackles and picks up the first down, jumping up in the air to the 30. A gain of 14 for Barkley.
Out of moves right here. Makes the first guy miss. The spin move at the last second. Bro. And then, what, Tiki, you're right. What is that?
Bro, we got to see this again. This kid is special, man. Just, you didn't even think to do that.
The craziest part about that to me is the crowd pop after the replay is louder than the initial one.
Right.
Because even when I was watching it, I was like, the spin move, I was like, oh, and then immediately the backwards hurdle. I thought I saw it wrong. I was like, there's no way. I waited for the replay. It was like the same thing. I was like, oh my gosh. And then I saw the replay. I was like, oh my gosh. Like, because you don't believe it when you see it at first.
No.
So the replay and you see it confirmed, you're like, that?
I've never seen a guy jump backwards.
No. And then full speed. Like, he didn't lose any speed. He stopped, spin move, accelerates right away, somehow turns his body around, sets his feet, jumps, brings his legs even higher. Like, it's...
I don't even know how
I don't know how you do that.
That defied, like, all laws of physics there. Like, how did he even spin around like that?
To do a play so crazy, you can't even recreate it in Madden if you wanted to.
I don't even think you could do that in Madden. I don't even think it's possible to do a backwards hurdle.
That's how
they need to put that in. They're going to put that in the game now.
New animation.
They're going to put it in there now.
Only for Saquon.
That was an impossible play.
Yeah,
literally.
I don't.
Which play do you think was better, Saquon or the Garrett Wilson one-handed catch?
I'd say Saquon just because we haven't seen it before. Like, we've seen a handful of insane one-handed catches, but like, I don't know, because I don't know if anyone would do it again too. Like, I want to be surprised if that's the only time we see it done.
Yeah, I'd like to agree. I'd probably agree with you there because I've never seen a player do that. And for you to recreate that, I mean, first of all, you got to do a 360 in the air, which who's doing that? Nobody. Nobody. Literally nobody. But I was impressed. I mean, 2 touchdowns, 199 total yards. I mean, this dude's a total package.
He leads the league in scrimmage yards per game. I think it's 133.
That's
like
nuts.
And then he only has 1 game under 80 rushing yards. That was against the Bengals. He has 3 straight with 100 rushing yards. And because even early in the season, like our offense was so stale, we wouldn't get a groove until he broke off a 40-some yard run. Like the Saints game, we didn't score until he got that however long 40, 50 yard touchdown rush. And then that changed the entire game. Like, his impact has been underrated somehow. Like, with as good as he's been, it's still, I feel like he's not getting enough credit.
No, it's not talked about it enough in the mainstream media, for sure. I just don't know where, like, I don't know how much of the load he has to carry when it comes to the postseason. That'll be the question for me.
Yeah, because he had 27 carries this past week, which was, like, definitely his most on the season.
Because he literally can carry a football team, which, by the way, I'm surprised. He stayed healthy.
Yeah, he's had...
Knock on wood. He stayed healthy.
He's had over 20 attempts in 3 games.
I mean,
so he's getting a hefty workload.
And he's also in the pass game.
Yeah.
So don't forget that.
He only has 1 game with under 2 receptions.
Right. He's gonna get hit up in the pass game.
That and both of his receiving touchdowns weren't like dump offs or screen passes. They were like 20-plus yard passes to the end zone.
And it's after the catch. He's making things happen on his own. Like, he's very elusive. He can make things happen. That's what I like about Saquon Barkley. I hate that he went from the Giants to the Eagles. I was hoping he went outside the division, which the Giants are idiots. I mean, you've seen the Hard Knocks thing where he's like, the owner's like, hey, if you let Saquon go to the Eagles, I won't be able to sleep at night. I guarantee you that dude's not sleeping right now.
Oh, no. I would never sleep again. I'd quit my job.
I would have fired the GM. I would have been like, hey, why did you do that? I told you not to do that. And you did it anyways.
They wanted to pay Daniel Jones. They literally broke the quarterback market for Daniel Jones because he won a playoff game.
That's got to be one of the worst decisions an organization's ever made.
Oh, yeah.
Is to not take Saquon Barkley over Daniel Jones.
And that just goes to show how undervalued running backs are. Like, again, there's probably 3 running backs in the league that I would pay top money for, and that's Saquon, Derrick Henry, Christian McCaffrey. But with how much of an impact we've seen, like Christian McCaffrey almost won MVP last year. He, in my opinion, should have. No offense to Lamar Jackson, but CMC should have won MVP last year.
I don't think Lamar Jackson should have won MVP. I'll say that. He had a Tyrod Taylor-like season, so I'm not putting him in there. But this year, he's playing better. And
he's better this year than he was last year.
I don't even know if he'll win it this year.
No,
but
he very well could be.
He could.
But CMC should have won it last year, and then this year you look. I mean, you could argue Saquon and Derrick Henry for definitely Offensive Player of the Year, but even MVP. Like, I wouldn't be. With how much of a workload they're carrying, like.
No, you can't. And you brought up Christian McCaffrey. I want to talk about him for a second. Let's bring Adam Schefter in real quick. I just want to give a little injury update. He is coming back, hopefully. So let's hear what Schefty has to say there about his status for this week.
Well, the 49ers have opened the practice window on Christian McCaffrey. He's out there practicing with the team today. And this is the first real positive momentum that the 49ers have had in weeks on Christian McCaffrey. And if all goes well, he is tracking to play Sunday against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, make his season debut. My understanding is there haven't been any setbacks as he's attempted to get back on the field from Achilles tendonitis, the calf issues, but he's back out there today. And if this week continues to go well, it sounds like he's going to play Sunday.
Well, that's a great sign for Niners fans because they're second in the NFC West. They've had a really up and down year. You know, Ayuk going out, Kittle being banged up, Debo being banged up. They've needed their offensive weapon back so badly, and I'm just glad they didn't rush him back because I mean he's already had an Achilles injury before. I mean he tore it in Carolina, so like you got to really slow down the process and make sure he comes back at 100% because we all know you were talking about him. I mean, Christian McCaffrey is one of the best players in the league. He led the league in rushing last year. He's 4th in touchdowns. He was 2nd in carries. Should have won MVP.
Yeah. That's a huge part of the offense. Because even when Jordan Mason was doing what he was doing, it's not the same impact as Christian McCaffrey. Because again, going back to the past game, Christian McCaffrey is so useful in there. And it helps out. It literally helps out everyone. Just his presence being on the field.
Because it also gives the defense. They have to go to him.
Oh yeah.
They don't have the ability to focus on Ayuk, Debo, or Kittle. They got to start individualizing it more, which gives them more man-to-man options and one-on-ones with McCaffrey. And I think the Niners, they got a tough schedule coming up. I mean, they've got at Bucks this week. I mean, the Bucks, I think even without Chris Godwin and Mike Evans, I think that's still a tough game. They've proven, Baker Mayfield has proven that he can put up, good games. Seahawks, and then at Packers and at Bills. That's their next 4 games. So having him back for that stretch is key for them to get back on track.
Yeah.
And I think Seahawks is a win, Bucks is a win, but Packers and at Bills?
Yeah, that's going to be a tough 2-game stretch. If you're the Niners, if you can beat Tampa Bay, beat Seattle, and win 1 between Green Bay and Buffalo, I think you're in a great position. You don't have to win out by any means. They're only back 1 game.
No, they're not far back at all. I mean, they can make up ground for sure. And I think having McCaffrey back will make Purdy a little more comfortable because I feel like he's been very up and down this year. He hasn't been able to go to the check down like he can or rely on the run game. I mean, Mason hasn't been that bad. I'm not going to say that. He's been okay, but he's not Christian McCaffrey. So when you get Brock Purdy, Christian McCaffrey together, that's when the magic happens, and we'll see. With Christian McCaffrey back, do you think the Niners can still make a playoff push?
Oh, yeah. I do think they'll make the playoffs. And with the Niners, we've seen it. All they have to do is make the playoffs, and then they have a chance. They, 2 seasons ago, barely snuck into the playoffs. They had to win 5+ in a row at the end just to make it, and then they made the NFC Championship against the Rams and lost in the last seconds.
Yep.
Like, that's a team that you can never count out. Because we're talking about Detroit's probably the team to beat in the NFC. The Eagles are getting there. But the Niners, once it comes playoff time, all bets are off. If they can get there and stay healthy, they could. I wouldn't even be surprised if they made the Super Bowl. I'm not predicting that they will by any means, but that's who they are.
I also throw the Commanders in there too.
Oh, yeah.
I will definitely throw them in. We're going to talk about the Commanders in a second because holy cow, we're going to do a whole NFC East talk, okay? Because we've got an Eagles fan here. We have to do NFC East talk.
Absolutely.
But we've been talking MVPs. I'm sure you guys are wondering. All right, so let's start off with you right now. As of right now, who is your MVP?
It's probably between Lamar and Josh Allen. Because Josh Allen has always been one of those top caliber quarterbacks, but he's had the turnover issue. He doesn't have Stephon Diggs. He has, Amari Cooper hasn't even been playing that great.
But it also helps. It's been helping Keon Coleman
start
to see his
Khalil
potential
Shakir, and he's looked the best I've seen him in a while. 17 touchdowns, only 2 interceptions on the year, and those were coming in the last 2 weeks. Like, he's been so much better with the football. I'm not gonna lie, I was low on the Bills coming into the season. I was like, they don't have that many weapons. Josh Allen turns the ball over with weapons. I don't know what he's gonna do without them. They lost a lot of defensive pieces, but they've surprised me, and he's been a big part of that. And because MVP, I think, most valuable. Like with Lamar, it's hard because he has Derrick Henry. And anytime there's 2 MVP caliber players on the same team, like last year, there was a point where people were saying the top 4 were Tyreek, Tua, AJ, and Jalen Hurts. I was like, you can't. If you arguably aren't even the most valuable on your team, how can you be the most valuable in the league? When I think of most valuable to a team, like Josh Allen has been that.
Yeah, because without him, I mean, they're garbage.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they're not even they're not even a relevant team. And the turnover thing, I mean, that's what's impressed me the most about Josh Allen. He's not throwing interceptions. He's not forcing the football down the field. Like, I mean, we've seen it many times where he tries to make things happen, fit the ball into tight windows because he's got a crazy arm.
Yeah.
But he's not doing that. He's making the right plays.
Yeah, no, he's playing, because even on his legs, like you compare his numbers to previous seasons, he's playing smart. Like, he's not, I don't know, I've never seen him like this.
James Cook has been a very good running back for them. Very good.
Yeah, a lot better than I thought he'd be.
Right. I was not high on the Bills either going into the year. I thought they were going to flop. Honestly, I didn't think they were going to get maybe 9 wins, but they've surprised me in just the way they're doing it. And Sean McDermott is a good head coach.
Oh, yeah.
I think he got a bad rap just because of him losing to the Chiefs so many times because I mean, no one can beat the Chiefs right now, but I mean, if the Bills can figure it out, which they have, and build this momentum into the postseason, I mean, maybe the Bills can contest the Chiefs again. I mean, I think they definitely could.
I want to put it past that. I think if they have a year to beat the Chiefs, it's this year, which is weird to say about a team we were talking about possibly going undefeated earlier, but like, because they play them in a week or two, like 2 or 3 weeks at home.
Yeah, they play them soon.
I think that'll be a big game for both teams.
Yeah, not this week, but next week. They play the Bills. So that'll, if they can beat but the thing is, didn't the Bills beat the Chiefs in the regular season last year? So I don't really count regular season to me.
But that was also when the Chiefs were still figuring it out. They had a kind of slow start.
I guess, but I feel like they're still trying. It's weird because I feel both this year and last year, I feel like the Chiefs are gettable. They're the most gettable they've ever been. But no one can beat them.
That's because they win blowouts. They win close games. They win in every fashion. But
it just blows my mind, bro.
Yeah, because to beat the Chiefs, you do have to play near perfect most times, and that's that's what Josh Allen and the Bills have been doing. So
yeah, I think one team that could beat them is the Ravens, and my MVP candidate's on the Ravens. I'm going Derrick Henry. I think Derrick Henry will win MVP. He'll be the first running back to win since AP in 2012. He's been an absolute beast. I mean, bro, he's got 1,000 yards rushing already.
Yeah.
Like what? Like it's only week 10. Like we still have way more football to go, and he's leading the league in touchdowns with 12, and he's 30. Everyone was saying coming to the season, oh, Derrick Henry's old. You know, he's going to take a step back. He's going to hurt the Ravens. You know, the Ravens, they need to go get defense, yada, yada. But I already knew with this RPO action with Lamar and Derrick Henry, I knew it would open up their passing game so much. Like Derrick Henry is just that dude. I mean, he's definitely an all-time great running back. I mean, I think at the end of his career, if he keeps playing the way he has and has that longevity, I mean, he could go down as the greatest running back of all time for all I know.
Oh yeah, especially if he could win a Super Bowl in Baltimore, that does wonders. Because I think it was 2020, Aaron Rodgers won it when he ran for 2,027 yards, 17 touchdowns. That was in 16 games. He has 17 this year. So
and he's doing it in less time.
To even have 2,000 rushing yards in a season once is impressive enough. If he could do it, people forgot how good he was just because of
the age.
Yeah.
The age really shut people off for no reason.
Well, that and last year he wasn't that great, but it was also because of injuries, and it's the Titans.
Yeah, the Titans suck, and he still had 1,000 yards.
The Ravens. Yeah,
by the way, he took him to the number 1 seed in the AFC when Tannehill was there.
Yeah,
he was literally their entire team.
Yeah, I hope he gets it because I'm still mad about him not getting it in 2020. If any non-quarterback deserves it, it's him.
I think it should go to a non-quarterback because I mean, I don't know. I mean, there's been some good quarterback play, but I feel like there's been a lot of better players, not quarterbacks, especially with Derrick Henry. I mean, bro, he's had 3 games this year with 100 yards and 2 touchdowns. And he's on my fantasy team. Again, I will thank you, Derrick Henry. You got me another dub last week. I scored 20 points last week in fantasy.
I'll admit, because I'm low on running backs in fantasy just because of injuries. Just because of injuries. I told my older brother, because he was like, should I take Derrick Henry? I was like, I'm not touching him. Probably the worst advice I've ever given in my life. He still took him, thankfully, but
that's what somebody told me before my fantasy football draft. I was like, hey, I'm thinking about taking Derrick Henry. They're like, nope, he's old. Stay away from him. You know, he's not going to do anything. And I'm like, it's Derrick Henry.
It wasn't even, I knew he was going to be good, but I was like, just the injuries. Because that's one of my leagues. I had the first overall pick. I took Tyreek Hill over CMC. And someone in the chat, I don't think I could repeat the word on a podcast, but I was like, that at least worked out. But, it didn't work out.
You dodged a bullet, though, with McCaffrey because he's basically been out the whole fantasy year.
Yeah, but Tyreek wasn't that great.
No.
But I traded him for A.J. Brown in a deal. So
Yeah,
it all worked out in the end.
I'm like, we play in my fantasy league. It's salary cap. We play 2 games a week. I'm 10-8 right now. I'm 3rd in my division, so I'm in the playoffs. And speaking of stacked running backs, I've got J.K. Dobbins, I've got Kareem Hunt, I've got Kenneth Walker, I've also got Derrick Henry. I am loaded, absolutely loaded.
In one of my leagues, it was.
And I've got 2 other guys I can't remember.
5th, 6th round, and I was like, I want to take the Chargers running back, but at the time we didn't know who the starter was. So I looked up the Chargers depth chart on their official website. They had Gus Edwards listed as RB1. So I took Gus Edwards over J.K. Dobbins.
And J.K.'s been the RB1.
Yeah.
I was so glad. And then Brian Robinson and Rico Dowdle are my other 2 guys. So I've got 6
in one of my leagues,
competent running backs.
I have James Conner, Jahmyr Gibbs, and Brian Robinson. And that they account for like all my points.
I scored 129 points in fantasy last week. Oh, by the way, I've got your boy Jalen Hurts on my fantasy team. He's lighting it up.
In 2 of my leagues, I have him and Devontae Smith, and it's like because Devontae Smith has been slow to start, so I'll be projected to lose.
And he was hurt too for a little bit.
Yeah, and then the second half of Eagles games, Jalen Hurts put up 30 fantasy points last week, and the week before that. I forget how many he had. But
it's his rushing. It's his rushing upside.
Touchdowns.
It's his rushing upside. Let me check real quick because I didn't even start him that week. Because by the way, I have Joe Burrow who's absolutely been lighting it up too. So I was kind of going back and forth. He had 37 fantasy points.
Oh my god!
3 rushing touchdowns, 236 yards, 16 of 20. Yeah, that's a pretty good completion percentage.
He's been so accurate.
That's what I've been shocked about the most. But I will say this. When you take A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith out, he looks like a completely different player. He really does.
But it was also against the Buccaneers, who blitz almost more than any team in the league, and for some reason just have our number.
They beat you all the time. But
it's also anyone else. Like you look at Mahomes early in the season with an injured receiving core. You look at C.J. Stroud right now.
Yeah, C.J. Stroud. Yeah,
wide receivers out. He doesn't get the same criticism Jalen Hurts does.
That's true. I feel like in the NFC East, for some reason, every quarterback is
they hate everyone but love Jaden Daniels, which very understandable. I love Jaden Daniels too.
Just wait though. Later in his career, when he has a bad game, trust me, they're going to come at his head. Dude.
Give him one good playoff run, and then people will hate him. I don't know why it works like that, but it does.
Can the Commanders make the Super Bowl?
I want to put it past them.
Like, I don't think they will, but bro, that's huge.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, they had Emmanuel Forbes before. We saw how that went.
Let's go to the NFC landscape before we get into our picks because we'll come back to the Bears if we want to. First of all, NFC East has not went the way I thought it would. No. I picked at the beginning of the year. I did pick you guys to win the division, which I still think is very possible. I mean, you guys haven't played Washington, so I think if you can beat Washington, maybe split with them, that gives you a chance. But I think for you guys to win the division, you need to sweep Washington, in my opinion. And you guys have to beat Dallas this week. I mean, if you guys lose to Dallas, you can't have that. Jalen Hurts is 3-3 in his career against Dallas, by the way, which is
it's going to be big against the Commanders. Because I do record predictions every year, I just automatically split against the Cowboys every year. And this year I was like, I gave the Cowboys.
You're going to sweep us.
Bro, I don't know. Even our Super Bowl year, one of our losses was to you guys.
But
it shouldn't have been.
But we were actually like good, This year we're not.
It's just the divisional games. Like I'm not superstitious with a lot, but when it comes to sports, it's like.
Well, any given Sunday, anything can happen.
True.
I mean, any team can beat anybody.
Yeah, that and the division. Like, it's with the Eagles. I know anytime we played the Seahawks, even if, like last year, we should have won that game easily. But going into it, I was like, the Seahawks, I don't know why they do it, but they always have our number. The Buccaneers always have our number.
Like it's just certain team, like Cowboys, like the Packers always have our number. Like,
I mean, the year we won, Carson Wentz's last year, we won 4 games. One of them was against the Cowboys. It just happens. But you guys also had Ben DiNucci starting in that game, I think. Never mind. That's not impressive.
Yeah, that doesn't count.
Yeah, never mind.
He's in the UFL or whatever you call it now. But man, to me, I think the Commanders will finish first in the division. I think they're just such a hot team right now. They upgraded with Marshawn Lattimore. They needed a cornerback that was like solid, and now they have one. And they still have a decent pass rush. Their offense is just, I mean, the running back situation is just unbelievable. I mean, you got Brian Robinson and Austin Eckler, two guys who can run the football and catch out of the backfield, and you can throw them in whenever on third down. You can have any guy on third down.
And
it doesn't
in the red
matter.
zone.
Right. It doesn't matter at all.
No matter where you are on the field, either guys.
They're just so well coached, too. I mean, was I upset Dan Quinn left after that abysmal Packers performance? Yeah, but he's came in, and I think he's a better head coach because he doesn't have as much control of the offense. And also he can just go, okay, OC, do your thing. DC, do your thing. Hey, I'll help you out a little bit. But they trust Jaden Daniels so much. Like, that's what's so important about the NFL. You have to have a team that is just 100% behind the quarterback.
Oh, yeah.
And they are 100%. Like, dude, when he had that Hail Mary pass, I mean, I was in disbelief right now. I'm like, okay, this guy is the franchise quarterback. It doesn't matter how many games he plays.
I forget how long it was, but that was the longest it's taken a quarterback to get off.
He had the ball for 13 seconds. He had it for 13 seconds. He was running around.
It reminded me, it was low-key like the Hail Mary to DeAndre Hopkins.
Yeah, it did remind me of that a little bit.
When he was running around in the backfield, it was
that was crazy. And that was against the Bears, which I think that's a perfect way to segue into the Bears, dude. That game, I've seen a couple people dissect it. I'm not going to repeat. I'll repeat what people say, but I'm not going to go too much into it. So on that Hail Mary play, right, where they had the spy on the top just running back and forth, and they had three guys rushing? Like, Eberflus, get him out of there. Shane Waldron, get him out of there. I mean, this Bears offense, which I can't even believe I picked this team to win an NFC North. This is how dysfunctional this offense has been. I saw a pass concept they had. 4 players were within a 6-yard radius within each other in one play. How, you're not going to get open. And then also I've been watching Caleb Williams. He's in the pocket too long. There's a reason for that. Because when he's ready to throw the ball, none of his receivers are looking at him and are ready. DJ Moore, back to him. Keenan Allen, back to him, which Keenan Allen's been dropping passes like I've never seen him drop. I mean, I think Keenan Allen might be washed. I think he might be.
Yeah. And then Roma Dunze.
He had a good game.
He hasn't been bad.
He had a good game last week.
I thought he was going to do more.
I thought he was going to be better. I do agree with that.
If they start drawing up more plays for him.
And I don't get it. Like the Bears offense on paper.
Oh, we were talking about
it should be amazing, but it's not. Why?
Just the coaching. That's one of the things where you look at.
The offensive line sucks. Yeah, they are abysmal.
Yeah,
abysmal. I mean, dude, Caleb is the 3rd most sacked quarterback in the league right now. And the Bears are also starting their 3rd string left tackle. I mean,
yeah.
And they lost their right tackle who left in the second half against the Cardinals with a knee injury. I mean, dude, what are we doing here? Check this stat. You're gonna. Only 4 teams are averaging fewer than the Bears yards per game. Do you want to know who it is?
Absolutely.
Raiders, Panthers, Browns, and Patriots. Those are the 4 worst teams in the league.
Yeah.
And the Bears are only better than those 4 teams when it comes to yards per game. I mean, are you serious right now?
Yeah, and then their points per game too. They ranked 19th.
They only scored what was it, 15 against the Commanders and then 9 against the Cardinals.
Well, yeah, they have
no touchdowns. You cannot have that.
Yeah, that because even early in the season, Caleb Williams was throwing interceptions. He's been good.
He's been
Like,
getting better, but that last game against the Cardinals, I feel like he got worse.
Yeah, which that's going to happen with the rookie quarterback, especially like you said, with no protection and abysmal coaching. So you got to give him some slack.
I'll give him slack because he's a rookie, but I'm not giving this coaching staff slack. Eberflus is like, well, I'm not making any changes. The offensive play calling, we're going to keep Shane Waldron in there. We're going to continue having him calling plays. Which if the Bears lose against the Patriots this Sunday, that's concerning. That's concerning. Absolutely. They can't lose that. They just lost to the Titans, for crying out loud. I mean, which is funny to go back and looking at the whole season for the Chicago Bears. They almost lost to the Titans. Week
they
1.
should have lost to them. They didn't beat the Titans. The Titans beat themselves.
And what they have, 2 pick sixes, the defense?
Yeah.
I mean, you can't make this up, dude. Caleb Williams, he has a 31% completion percentage when he throws 15 or more yards in the air downfield.
Yeah.
Jeez, I regret picking this team to win the NFC East. I'll tell you that right now. I am regretting.
I'd be shocked if they won the NFC East.
Or the NFC, not the NFC East, the NFC North. Excuse me.
Too many divisions.
I legit regret that so much. But how can you blame me? On paper, look at that team.
Oh yeah, on paper, that's what I think. I originally had them third. Because the Lions are still the Lions. I knew the Packers.
Well, the Vikings kind of came out of nowhere.
Oh,
no one thought they were going to do anything.
Bro, I had them winning, I think, 4 games coming into the season.
4 games? Well, they've already succeeded that. They went 5-0.
Exactly. I had them, let me pull it up, 6-11.
Oh, you had them at 6-11?
Yeah, I had the Bears at 9-8.
9-8. I had the Bears winning 12 games.
That's the thing, though.
I had 3 teams making the playoffs in that division: the Packers, Bears, and Lions.
Yeah.
Which I don't know if it still could happen, but
technically,
there's a lot of football.
Who do the Bears have left to play?
Let's look at their schedule. I mean, I feel like they've had a pretty easy schedule, but their stretch coming up is pretty hard because they start playing in the division now. So I think they've got the Lions coming up. Patriots are easy game, but they can't beat the Packers.
They play the Packers, Vikings, Lions, Niners, Vikings, Lions.
Yeah, it's a tough stretch coming up.
Yeah, no,
that's where it gets to the division. You don't think the Bears are going to make the playoffs?
No.
No?
No, they play the Patriots. They should win that.
I just don't think they played well enough for me to sit here and be like, yeah, they're going to make the playoffs. They just haven't played well enough. I mean, they haven't looked consistent enough on offense, and the teams they've beaten are not that great. I mean, I think a couple weeks ago I was kind of overshadowing, they're 4-2, they're 4-2, but who they played? I mean, they beat the Panthers. I mean, they beat the Titans. I mean, they were beating nobody.
Yeah,
nobody.
I mean, they beat
the Rams when they were injured.
They did compete against the Texans. I'll give them that one. But they lost to the Colts.
But they should have, even in that Texans game, they should have been better.
Oh yeah,
they should have been way better. They shouldn't have.
They put up 13.
They underperformed, in my opinion, in that game. They way underperformed. Oh, yeah. They shouldn't have even been in that game.
I don't know, because here's the other thing: when they do have the close games and the chances to win, they don't.
Which doesn't make sense.
The loss to the Commanders, obviously, we just talked about. They lost by 5 to the Colts. They lost by 6 to the Texans. Like I said, they barely squeaked out the win against the Titans, but that one, I put more on the Titans blowing it than I do on the Bears winning it.
Yeah, I agree. I agree 100%.
I don't know if they can win the close games, but these games might not even be close.
Do you think the Patriots is a close game?
No, that might go more like the Jags game. It depends how they respond. Coming off a 20-point loss,
against the Cardinals, which I did pick without hesitation the Bears to win that game. I know that, but the Cardinals have surprised me a lot.
Oh yeah,
and Kyler Murray's back, man.
People always, and he does it to himself, but people always forget how good he is.
Always.
Every single time he's hurt, we just forget about him.
I think
and let
Kyler
the
Murray's a
fumbles off,
top
and then
10
he comes back.
quarterback.
Oh, yeah. I would have to do my list, but
He's probably
Yeah.
10 for me.
yeah.
I'd say that. I mean, just just like his mobility, him able to extend plays, and then he could throw the football down the field.
Yeah.
And then they also have, like, Cardinals have really good running backs. They got James Conner. They've got Trey Benson, FSU, little but whatever. Yeah, I like that team, and they're 5-4.
Yeah.
Man, that's shocking to me. I never thought that.
Oh, no.
Who would have thought they were
told
top
me
that?
through, 10 weeks they'd be winning the NFC West,
No way.
I would have walked
They
away.
were projected to be like the worst team, like by
Yeah.
far.
Yeah. They have a good future.
But it's also the Kyler. It also goes back to the Kyler Murray thing of like everyone sleeps on him.
Yeah.
That's the
It's
problem.
really as long as he stays healthy, because when he's healthy, they're fine.
Yeah, they're fine. But when you put a backup in there, they had Desmond Ridder, but he was so bad he got off the practice squad, so they don't have him anymore. But
Yeah, he's one of.
he played on the Raiders in the last game. What did he throw? A touchdown pass?
Dude,
I think he threw a
I think
touchdown
I've watched
pass.
maybe 3 minutes of Raiders games this season.
I think he threw a touchdown pass because they don't have any of their offensive linemen either. They've had a weird year. I wonder what they're going to do in the future when it comes to the draft. It'll be interesting to see which court. I think they should take Cam Ward.
Do you see Shedeur Sanders after every Raiders loss tweets, "Thank you, God"?
Seriously, are you kidding?
No.
Like after every single Raiders loss, he tweets that.
Like technically, yeah. It was.
What?
I saw the dates side by side of the tweets versus the games that they lost.
Oh
so
my God.
technically, we can't prove it, but
No way.
that's a crazy coincidence, especially for someone whose coach/dad talked about how much he'd love for his son to go to the Raiders.
Don't you think it's funny that like Tom Brady owned the Raiders as a player, and now he literally owns them?
Yeah, that because he's worked with Shedeur in the past as well. So
I feel like if I was Tom, I would want Cam Ward more. I think he's a little bit
Yeah.
more special.
well, I don't think Tom Brady's gonna make the final decisions, but quarterback wise, he should.
But to be fair, I feel like Shedeur hasn't really played the best competition yet, so I don't really know how to gauge him.
Yeah, I'm not as high on him as I am other quarterbacks.
Like I don't like
people
I don't
have
like
him as
Carson
the number
Beck.
one.
I don't like Carson Beck. I think
No,
he's a turnover
absolutely
machine.
not.
He
He's
looked
worse
way
than
different.
Stetson Bennett. And Stetson Bennett was great at Georgia, but what is he? He threw 4 interceptions and barely won a game in the preseason.
And the problem with Carson Beck is like when you take Brock Bowers away,
Mm-hmm.
he's looked this bad. I mean, and you saw the Alabama game where he was making terrible reads. He threw 3 picks, and then against Florida, he was throwing interceptions too.
He looks panicky.
He does. He looks like when his first read's not there, he looks like he's just chopping his feet up, going,
Yep.
"Where do I go with the football?" And in NFL, you can't do that. You got to be able to make quick reads, smart reads. And I think Cam Ward has done that for sure. And what he does,
Nonchalant quarterback.
dude, it's like, is he trying? Genuinely, is he trying? Like actually,
It's
like,
almost like watching Jokic.
it feels like that. He's jogging around. He's like jogging to the sideline, and then he's like dodging defenders like no one else's business. I'm like, all right, I would love him on the Cowboys. But we're projected to get Ashton Genty in the draft, which I take
my
that.
gosh.
I'll take that, dude. Ashton Genty's the best running back in the country right now. I'll
Dude,
take
he's
that.
scary. He just stands in the backfield like Michael Myers, and then
Dude, that's intimidating, bro.
And the craziest part about him is he plays sometimes not even the second half at all, and he'll put up 152 touchdowns in the first half, and then just
Like, bro, he had 6
Hand out
touchdowns in the
waters after
first
that.
game this year.
yeah, no, he's
6.
because they played the Ducks too.
And they almost beat him.
Yeah,
And
people are-
Genty went off. And I was like,
that's
okay,
the reason
we need a running back. Which I was really mad about the Cowboys not drafting a running back because I did want Trey Benson from Florida State. But we decided, let's go ahead and go with Rico Dowdle here. And then let's bring Zeke back. And then, let's sign Dalvin Cook and not even use him. But
when they brought Zeke back, I was so happy.
I would, of course you were, because you
here's
don't
the
have to play a good running back.
Here's the thing: no matter how bad he is, he always scores against the Eagles.
He's not playing.
Good.
He's out. So you don't have to deal with
When
that.
was the last time there's a Cowboys-Eagles game with no Dak and no Zeke?
Well, no Dak and no Zeke. I mean, I probably have to. No, not 2020. Maybe 2020, but I feel like Zeke was. I think Zeke was playing that year, but there was no Dak Prescott. Was it maybe?
Yeah.
No, because 2022 Zeke was healthy. I don't think there's ever, at least since they've been there, I can't think of a time where they both have been out against the Eagles. That's interesting. I didn't even think about that. But when we get into this, we'll get into this matchup right now. Let's get into JB's picks. These odds are courtesy of Hard Rock Bets, okay? My pick is minus 350 Eagles money line at the Dallas Cowboys, okay? I know Jalen Hurts is 3-3 for the Cowboys, but this Cowboys defense, okay, they're absolutely atrocious. The Cowboys have the 18th passing defense in the league, and they're 30th against the rush. And you guys are the second best rushing offense in the NFL. So as long as you guys can run the football,
which
you're
we've been doing fine.
I
remember it was after, I think it was after the Saints game. LaShawn McCoy tweeted, "No BS, Saquon might rush for 200 when we play Dallas."
I think he'll rush.
He could.
I think he will.
Dude, if he goes for 200, I will freak out.
I think he will. It's not hard against the Dallas defense, first of all. It's not an accomplishment. We have nobody that can stop the run. Nobody.
Yeah.
And if Micah Parsons doesn't play, even with Micah Parsons, I still feel like he'll carve us up. Because Micah Parsons is not really that impactful in the rushing.
Especially against the Eagles. Because anytime he's faced with Lane Johnson, he doesn't do anything. It was, I don't remember if it was last year or 2 years ago, but both times we played you guys, he was silent the whole game. And then both games, Lane Johnson left with an injury, and he immediately started eating.
Hot take, but I think Micah Parsons is overrated.
He might. Well, yeah, people were saying he could be the best defensive player ever his rookie year. And now
they were saying he was the next Lawrence Taylor.
Yeah.
That's what they were saying.
Yeah.
Right now, I don't see that. Because here's the thing. When it comes to Micah Parsons, you can stop him pretty easily. All you have to do is get a big offensive lineman and push him to the edge. Because he's small. He's like a cub. He's not a lion. He's a cub. Yeah. He's running. He's fast. Don't get me wrong. He's fast, but he's not strong. He's just still very elusive. That's why he's good. But I think he's overrated because it's very easy to game plan for him and to find his weaknesses and go, okay, you're not getting to him. Like, I guarantee you, if he plays, all your line is going to do is push him against the edge, and he's not even going to be able to get to Jalen Hurts because he's so far behind in the pocket, he's got to go up. And then on top of that, when we put him in coverage and all these things like that, he's exerting all this energy. So he's so tired already that he's not going to be a factor. Like, he's going to be on the sideline trying to get rest.
Yeah, and that's what he wants to be, the highest paid non-quarterback.
Which I don't think that should happen.
That's the other thing with the
Cowboys.
Cowboys.
And we can't afford him, by the way.
Like Dak, you guys just give him a new contract every 2 years.
And we gave him a new contract after he broke his leg, and then we gave him a new contract after he got blown out against the Packers and threw 3 picks.
Like,
that is not you can't even get mad at it anymore. Like, when I watch Cowboys games now, I don't even get upset. Just don't even get mad. I'm just like, well, I knew that was going to happen.
It gets to the point where you're so used to it that, like, do you even look forward to games?
No.
Like, do you wake up on Sunday like, I got to watch my team today?
Nope.
Yeah.
I look forward to watching Sunday night football and, like, Thursday night football, which you have a pick for Thursday night football. What is it?
Bengals, Ravens over 53.5. I usually don't like taking over-under, especially that high, but the Bengals defense has been terrible. The Ravens secondary is terrible going up against, and Jamar Chase eats every time. Jamar Chase plus a bad secondary. The Ravens are putting up 31.5 points per game. The Cincinnati gives up 25 a game, averages 26 a game, and the Ravens give up. Oh, that's the wrong thing.
And remember last time they played, they had a combined total of 79 points.
Yeah. Like, there's no reason it shouldn't hit.
No, I think it will. I think it will go over. And I just like Joe Burrow when it comes to his play this year. He's had, I think it's 2 games with 5 passing touchdowns this year.
Which is just,
I mean, that's pretty, insane. That's video game numbers.
Oh, yeah.
And then Lamar Jackson, I mean, I'll say this about Lamar Jackson.
His first 5, passing touchdown game was the Ravens. I think he's done that.
Yeah, he's done
3 times in his career against. He's done it at least twice against them, and maybe 3 times.
That's crazy. But you know what's crazy is Lamar owns Joe Burrow in the head-to-head.
Yeah,
Lamar's 5-1 versus Joe Burrow. 5-1. That's insane.
That's insane.
Like, how do you only win once? And you're Joe Burrow. Like, we're talking about cool Joe
He
here.
sacrificed the way he plays against Patrick Mahomes for losing against Lamar Jackson. That's what it was.
He saves it.
He's
Is
the
that what
only
you're saying?
one. He's the only one that has a shot against Mahomes head to head. So he's.
I think that's going to be a great game. By the way, if we're going predictions here, I think I'm going to take the Ravens at home.
Oh yeah,
I think that's a safe pick. But the Bengals, this is a must win. If they lose this, they drop to 4-6, and I think they run the risk of not making the postseason possibly if they don't win.
And they're arguably better on the road. They haven't won a game at home,
which is nuts. Same with the Cowboys.
Yeah, I'll never understand that.
That doesn't make sense either. Like, how do you not win at home? But they've had chances. That one game against Washington. They were playing well. It's just Washington.
Yeah, that was one of the cases where you lose and you can't even be mad. That was just both teams playing perfect. That was one of the most perfect, offensively at least, football games I've.
Wasn't that like one of like it was like a game where they didn't have a punt.
A punt or a turnover.
That's crazy.
On that, yeah. Unheard of.
Like, what is that?
And that's the thing. Like, the Bengals are getting bad breaks. Like, the first game against the Ravens, one of the best games they've played, and they lost because the Ravens are just that good. Against the Commanders, same thing.
But they also, I think they had a chance in that game because Lamar Jackson fumbled the snap. They got the ball back, and then they missed the field goal, and then the Ravens get the ball back, and then they hit the field goal. So it's that game was in the balance.
It wasn't even like it was a muffed snap that messed up the field goal too. Like, it wasn't like it was a long distance field goal or he just shanked it. It was like,
in?
Yeah, laces in, and he just fumbled the snap completely. Which I've seen more like missed snaps on field goals this season than I have in any other season.
Really?
Like, even in college football.
Well, it's such a tough job because first of all, you're going in there cold. You're not warmed up, and you got to go in there and hold the snap. Which I know my history with field goals. When Tony Romo against Seattle Seahawks, when he couldn't hold the stupid snap or whatever. Goodness gracious! I swear the devastation for the Cowboys can go on and on and on and on.
And I'll never enjoy it more. It's
I shouldn't. You know how I was saying I wasn't going to watch all year, and now I'm watching. I wish I stuck to my word.
Yeah,
I wish I did because my eyes hurt every single Sunday. I'm watching pathetic football.
Yeah, that's what. At least when the Eagles were like terrible early in the season,
at least you guys
like
were
I still
winning.
Could look at the Cowboys, and that would make my day better.
Yeah. Well, when you guys lose, it makes my day better. I hate watch you guys.
Yeah.
All the time. Like, when you guys lost to the Bucs, I was so happy. And I don't like Nick Sirianni at all. No. I hate him. No. Just the way he looks.
You should love him.
And he shaved his head. Like, what's going on? And he's like,
yeah.
Oh, hey, bro, Eagles fan.
When he shaved his head, I forget what post it was on, but I commented, like, this is either the start of the Super Bowl run or we're officially cooked. But we've been 4-0 since. But you know what it is? It's
his redemption arc.
Not even that, because if you look at the numbers or even just watch Eagles games, it's just him. He's not calling plays anymore. He's finally giving Kellen more freedom, and that's why we're winning games.
Right.
And we saw it last game. It was Kellen Moore the whole time. And then one of the biggest issues early in the season, you look at the Falcons game, you look at the Saints game, it was Sirianni leaving points on the board. Last week, went for it on 4th and 3 when he could have kicked a 39-yarder when they were up 10-0. There's no reason not to. Goes for it. And then after that, Saquon Barkley scores his second touchdown of the game. This is still, like, I would have to sit down with Nick Sirianni and have him explain it to me. The difference between being up 17-0 and 18-0. There's no difference. You know what there is a difference
There's
in?
1 point.
Being up 16 and 17, that's a whole possession.
There's a difference.
17, 18, it's what?
It's one more possession.
Yeah. And then here's the thing. After he goes for 2, misses it. Okay, 16-point game. The next time we score, he does it again, which is like, okay, you're trying to make up the points you already lost. The Jaguars still have 0 points. Like, we left...
You guys let him come back in that
We left
game.
3 points on the board in terms of just 2-point conversions. We had a missed field goal. Because here's what he does. It'll be 30, 40 yarders, and he goes for it. And then he just expects Jake Elliott to walk out and hit a 60-yarder after not kicking. He's not even kicking PATs. He's done nothing but kick on the sideline. And he's like, 57 yards, go.
That's what we do, except Brandon Hubbard will go in for a 70-yarder, and then we won't have him do it.
Yeah, like, it makes no sense. We left.
Oh, God. And then Jaguars almost came back. They almost came back.
Even at the end of the game, it was 4th and 1 on the Jacksonville 25-yard line. We don't even do a tush push. We don't give it to Saquon Barkley. We pass it on 4th and 1 in enemy territory in a 5-point game.
Oh, no.
And then the Jaguars turned around and drove 40 yards down the field. The only difference between the ending of that game and the ending of the Falcons game is Nakobe Dean's interception. That's literally
I did want to get you, before we end the pod here, I did want to ask you this. I did want to get your take on this. What was your take about Jason Kelce slamming the phone with the Penn State thing? How do you feel about that? And he apologized on was it Monday Night Countdown, I think? Yeah, he apologized on it. So what are your thoughts on that?
When you are somewhat like a celebrity or a professional athlete or anything, you have to watch yourself more than like you or me would. If you and I did the same thing he did, nobody would know. But if you go up to a professional athlete and call his brother the F slur and expect him not to do anything, like, he definitely, I'm not going to say he's in the wrong, but I don't think he's in the right either. If someone came up to me and called my brother an F slur and attacked his girlfriend, yada yada, I'd probably do the same thing. I'd probably punch him in the mouth. I wouldn't even throw his phone.
I wouldn't even care. I would just ignore it because, like you said, he's an athlete.
Yeah,
and he's used to the scrutiny. He's played in the NFL. He's gotten screamed at before. Like, he knows how to zone it out. Like, I feel like for him to just grab the guy's phone and just slam it. I mean, he said it. Like, he acted. Yeah, when he responded to hate with hate. And
it's
that's exactly what he did.
Flight things.
Right. And I think, could he have handled it better? Yeah. But like, at the same time, like, watch your mouth. Like, this is not TikTok where you can comment and no one sees your face.
Yeah. He could have addressed it in a much calmer way.
He could have just came up to the guy and he's like, hey, be respectful.
Yeah.
Instead of taking the kid and then I mean, even when I saw it, I didn't know what he said to the guy.
Yeah.
But I was like, well, he's an a-hole for that. Why would you break someone's phone? Like, with no context given into it, I thought the wrong thing. I was like,
oh, yeah,
that's a bad guy. And I know Jason Kelce's not a bad guy. But still, like, the phone thing, I was like, that's a little uncalled for.
Yeah. No, he's definitely, just because I do, like, he's still human. So I see where he's coming from. I don't think he's in the right. I don't condone it, but I don't fault him for it necessarily.
Man, that's a tough situation to be in.
Like, even like there's a video of Joey Bosa in the NFC Championship game between the Niners and Eagles, where
Nick Bosa. Is it Nick Bosa or is it
Nick
Joey?
Bosa was playing. Philly fans were Joey Bosa was at the game as a fan,
rooting
for his brother,
as a fan.
And Eagles fans were chirping him, and he said something he wasn't supposed to, but he kept yelling at them and like, I don't know, those professional athletes and their brothers, they got a special bond or something.
Well, it's family. I mean, I would get sensitive about it too, but I don't think I would react in that way. I mean, I'd probably just ignore it because who are you?
Exactly.
I mean, he's Jason Kelce. I mean, you're not where he is. So,
yeah.
I mean, I would have just kept walking. But
yeah, I
had to get your take on that because I did see that, and he seemed very genuine about it with his apology and stuff like that, which I'm surprised. Like, I'm not surprised. I was kind of surprised he kept his job low key. Like, without context, like I feel like maybe ESPN forced him to apologize just so the situation kind of calmed down, because on Monday, I mean, emotions were flying high when it came to that. So I was kind of surprised, like, oh, like Scott Van Pelt's like, hey, you have something you want to say? Like, it seemed very pre-planned.
Yeah, it definitely was, but I do think he's genuinely sorry. Even if he's not, though. Like,
yeah,
we'll never know.
Yeah.
I like him as an analyst. I'll never get tired of him being on my screen.
I think, you know what?
And the Wawa ads.
I like him. I think he's entertaining. The commercial where he's like, with the 2024 NFL season. Jason, seriously? Like, I think that's the funniest commercial ever.
Yeah.
I love it. But, man, I think it's going to do it for today's episode of the Take Podcast. This is Connor Dixon. I appreciate you hopping on.
Underdog Sports on all platforms.
I'll put the link in the description. He does a bunch of prediction stuff, so keep an eye on that. But this is Connor Dixon. I'll put him in there. But I'm Jackson Burleson. This has been another episode of the Take Podcast. Like, subscribe, comment, and also hit the notification bell. And let me know what you guys think about this NFL season, how it's going to all unveil, and the Patrick Mahomes thing we were talking about at the beginning. So I'll see you guys next week in another episode. Peace.
Talk to me, baby. Talk to me nice. I'm from another world, baby, yeah. Broadway paradise. They think I'm way too cold, cause I put my